what I try and tell people is while you're studying, they should be building their Instagram, building their Facebook, doing whatever it is, going to open houses, interviewing brokers, whatever it is, so that the moment you pass, you can hit the ground running. And they often say, don't I need a real estate license to do that? And I think to myself, absolutely not. Why would you even ask that? Because when you go on vacation, aren't you taking pictures of houses and buildings? When you go to, for example, Spain or something, you're taking pictures of those beautiful architecture. It's the same thing. You're just taking pictures of properties and telling people what you think. You're not selling it yet. So there's no reason you can't create a profile on social media of you as somebody who enjoys talking about properties and has good opinions about it and has some knowledge about it. And then once you pass your test, you've built that following of people who respect you as somebody who has an interest in real estate and you're ready to sell.
Welcome back to the second season of Echo Interviews. Today we're joined by a very special guest, a real estate legend, Joe Juter, founder of PrepAgent, one of the leading real estate exam prep companies in the country. Joe shares how he got started, gives advice to aspiring agents and seasoned agents alike, and gives us an insight on how he's been able to grow his YouTube channel to over 82,000 subscribers, his Facebook community to over 30,000, and other social media platforms to 40,000 followers combined. Without further ado, let's begin. Welcome back to Echo Interviews. Today we have a very special guest for you. Today we have a real estate legend in the house. We have Joe Juter, founder of PrepAgent. That's right, the same PrepAgent that you go to whenever a client asks you a difficult question that you have no clue how to answer. In fact, many of the audience have actually taken preparation from PrepAgent to become a real estate agent. Joe, welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, we do exam prep, but as you said, a lot of people use our stuff as a reference for little real estate facts that can help them sound a little smarter when they're talking to people. So it does work in that sense as well.
100%. I'm guilty of that quite a bit. So that's actually how I stumbled upon your channel. So Joe, let's jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, the industry that you're in, and how you got started.
So I actually got started many years ago, about 20 years ago. But this exam prep, as you see it today, was basically started because we wanted to make it a little easier to comprehend for people who are scared about taking the real estate exam, scared about learning these facts, basically taking legal facts as it pertains to real estate and simplifying it as much as possible to the point where you could explain it to a 6-year-old and be able to relay the concept. So that was how it got started. I just found these facts to be a little overwhelming, and I thought to myself, how could I kind of really simplify it for everybody?
Awesome. And when was this again? When did you start it as we see it today, PrepAgent?
Well, I actually started teaching about 15 years ago. But okay. The PrepAgent, as you see it today, it's probably about 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. I was working with some websites before that to help people pass the exam, but what you see today with the YouTube channel and the website, that's fairly new.
Awesome. So let's focus in on the YouTube channel for a little bit, as it is a massive channel and you get a ton of traffic through there, as you mentioned, for reference, and some people trying to get a deeper understanding of certain topics that they either may have forgotten about or didn't know about. So it's very useful in that respect. Now, as far as the content that you produce, do you make it state agnostic, meaning it doesn't matter the state that you're practicing in, or do you like to zone in on different states?
For the stuff of the YouTube channel, we try and make stuff that applies to everybody. We keep the state-specific stuff more towards people who log into the website with exam prep questions, things of that nature. But on the YouTube channel, we try and make it applicable to everybody so everybody can enjoy it and share it. And so we really worked hard to kind of find that information that everybody needs to know, like the definition of real property or what a fixture is. Like you see a fixture on a purchase contract, and everybody has to know that, whether you're in Louisiana, Texas, New Hampshire, or even Ireland, really. I mean, a fixture is just something that goes with the property when you sell it.
Okay, awesome. As far as exam prep, do you offer that in all states?
Just about, yeah. We offer it in every state.
Okay. Now, when it came to, well, let me ask you this first. Which state did you start with?
California.
California. Was that because, was there a reason for California?
I was living there at the time.
That's a strong reason.
Yeah, nothing more than that. At the time, I was living there, and then it just expanded out. I was in California, then people in Arizona wanted help, so I started to find the stuff that also applied to Arizona and modify it for Arizona, and then find things that applied to Arizona. And then, it kind of just crossed borders to each state gradually, one by one. Obviously, we had to end up hiring people to help us with state-specific stuff as we went. But we just found there's a lot of fundamental concepts that apply to everybody as you go across every state. And obviously, we got to get help from local people to get the specifics from each state. But the general concepts are pretty border crossing.
Awesome. From your perspective, because I'm curious about this, I heard something about this when I took real estate school here at a local, I'm in Dallas, so here at a local school. Which states would you say are the most difficult?
I get that a lot. Some people say Florida, some people say Texas, some people say California, and really at the end of the day, does it really matter? Because you got to pass it no matter what. You don't have a choice. If you're in Florida and people are constantly telling you Florida is more difficult, what are you going to do? Go to Georgia and take the exam? It doesn't work like that. People got to put on their big boy pants, if you will.
Yeah.
And just take it on and deal with it. A lot of people complain about the real estate exam, and my feeling is if you're complaining about the real estate exam, how are you actually going to sell real estate? I mean, it's a barrier to entry to make sure that not everybody can sell real estate. At the most minimal level, it's there to make sure that you're serious about doing this. So my advice to everybody who wants to get into the business, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you find annoying, irrelevant, impractical, but you just got to fight through it and do it. I mean, you're going to deal with escrow officers and lawyers who make you do things that you find unnecessary, and that's just it. So when people say which exam's the most difficult, I often say, at every step of the way, you're going to find something that you think's more difficult than the person next to you has to do, or the person in the next state or next town or whatever it is. And the people who are successful don't think about that. They just see it, get it done, do it, move on to the next task.
100%. That's such a good point. You're not going to move over to another state and start practicing there. And certainly you can't bring it back. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
When it comes to staying current from your standpoint, since you're managing all of these states at this point, or licensing or preparation, how do you stay current? Updating all of the states, because at this point you're close to the 50 mark in states. So how do you manage that?
Well, we have people help us in individual states on a contract basis. But also the bigger thing is we have a community. We built a Facebook community where it started with, and that Facebook group is now going 16,000 strong. So it's 16,000 people who are constantly giving feedback, helping each other, giving us input. Because after you help somebody pass, we found a lot of people are very big on paying it back and helping others pass. So not only do we try and build a website and YouTube channel, it was very important for us to build a community of people who want to help each other. And our hope is not only they help each other with the exam, but they help each other moving forward as they practice real estate. So for example, if you're in Texas, you may want to talk to somebody in Vermont because they may have different ideas, different perspectives that you can apply rather than just talking to people in the next town over who are basically doing the exact same things you are. That's not how you get ahead of your competition. So by them helping when they're the community by staying current, telling what to see on topics, they're also kind of creating a relationship that hopefully moves forward as their career progresses. And I forgot who said it. Somebody said, if you want everything in life, start by helping everybody else get what they want, you know? That quote could be said better, but you get the idea.
No, I absolutely do. Absolutely. I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing it, so I'm going to credit you when I go and tell somebody. So
yes, I think I said it wrong.
Go.
That's why it's the first time. I'm pretty confident I messed it up. I think
No,
Warren Buffett said it.
The message landed. The message landed. Well, what's something that aspiring agents struggle with as they prep for the exam?
So aspiring agents, I mean, people who just started to decide to get into their real estate career, because that's that first phase, they get intimidated. They see there's so many people out there who are doing real estate. But what they need to understand, there's not that many people doing it properly. There's a lot of people doing real estate. So just because you get your license doesn't mean you're doing real estate. So they get scared by the license exam and they become hesitant and they don't want to move forward. But really, you should treat that you're going to sell real estate the moment you make that decision to take that exam, even before you pass. So they get so caught up in pass the exam that after they pass, they come back to me and they're like, well, now what? I'm like, well, you should have thought of that before you took the test. What I try and tell people is while you're studying, they should be building their Instagram, building their Facebook, doing whatever it is, you know, going to open houses, interviewing brokers, whatever it is, so that the moment you pass, you can hit the ground running. And they often say, don't I need a real estate license to do that? And I think to myself, absolutely not. Why would you even ask that? Because when you go on vacation, aren't you taking pictures of houses and buildings? You know, when you go to, for example, Spain or something, you're taking pictures of those beautiful architecture. It's the same thing. You're just taking pictures of properties and telling people what you think. You're not selling it yet. So there's no reason you can't create a profile on social media of you as somebody who enjoys talking about properties and has good opinions about it and has some knowledge about it. And then once you pass your test, you've built that following of people who respect you as somebody who has an interest in real estate and you're ready to sell. And people got to think like that more. This idea that, well, I'm passing my exam, then I'm going to start building my business is just crazy to me. It's just a waste of, it's not time efficient, you know? And people got to remember, the goal is not pass your exam. The goal is selling a home or selling a building, making money. So it's not the first to pass their exam that matters. So if you failed your exam once, 2, 3, 4 times, if during that time you're spending time building your social media profile or getting knowledge about the area, then it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people who pass their exam, they don't know what to do, and then it takes them 7, 8 months to do a deal, if at all, because they haven't done the proper preparation. So to get to your question, what's the big flaw of people coming in is they get too caught up in the exam and they don't what do I call it? Embrace the foresight to look ahead to what the real goal is, to what they're really trying to do.
That's huge. That's huge. And it made me think about, well, my own personal journey, but that's so true that people wait for the, you know, I have to have my license. But the way that you mentioned it, the way that you are prepping people even before they get their license is awesome, because then you have the track record of, hey, I have interest in real estate. I've been showing you interest in real estate. Oh, and it just so happens that I now got my real estate license because I had this much interest in real estate, versus a traditional way of many agents, including myself. I'm guilty of it. I have my license. Now hire me. Well,
right. And if you think about it, how long would you say does it take for somebody to do their first deal after they pass their exam on average?
Oh my. I would say probably maybe 3 months.
How long does it take for you to study for the exam?
For me, it took a month.
So by using that logic, part of that 3 months waiting could have been time studying for the exam. Because in that 3 months you just mentioned to get your first deal, none of that stuff was license activities. It was at month 3 where you did your first license activity.
Yeah.
So to use that example, if you took a month to study and then did it, it took you 4 months to do your first deal. Whereas if you were studying during that 3-month period, we were kind of doing the things necessary to get a deal, then it would have taken you 3 months because that study period would be locked on. So you get the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And
you think about you just mentioned your first license activity didn't really come until 3 months in.
That's true. That's true. So, wow. Okay.
And what were you doing to that first 3 months? Pretty much most people are learning about contracts, maybe, going to their little office meetings, going to networking groups, building their Instagram profile, building their Facebook or Twitter, whatever they choose to do. None of this stuff is license activity. I mean, generally speaking, obviously I'm not a lawyer in this detail list. Generally speaking, the license activity comes to when you have a client, you're soliciting business. Right. as long as you're smart about your wording. But you should absolutely be going to networking functions with other real estate people. That's not a license activity. Yeah. Build your LinkedIn profile. Just don't say you're a licensed broker until you are. But until that time, you could say like real estate professional, or just say you're studying for the real estate exam. Just be honest, and start building those content.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And nothing's stopping you from building your influence. Essentially, that's what you're looking for. That's what you're doing. I mean, taking you as an example, I mean, you've built your influence on a ton of different platforms. So I was looking at your numbers. Facebook, 16,000. You've mentioned YouTube, 82,000. Instagram, over 11,000. So,
and the Facebook group is because that's the Facebook group. The Facebook page is another 15,000.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
And I guess what I'm saying is people got to stop making excuses. And people think they're making excuses. And one of the biggest excuses I always hear is I'm not ready. It's like, you'll never be ready. And if you look at my videos, I have 82,000 subscribers, and soon I'll have 100,000, which is a pretty large number. And I'm pretty comfortable in saying there's nobody in my space that comes even close. And the reason we got there is if you look at my early videos, they were terrible. But we just did it, and you progress, and you move forward, and you do it, and you keep pushing and throwing it out there, and you suffer the consequences of making mistakes, and you move on. So this idea of I'm only going to start building my business until I pass is an excuse. It's just an excuse because it doesn't take that long to learn how to build up your profile, go to these networking events, and learn the proper wording so you don't do anything illegal. So what to say on your Instagram profile, we just discussed. You could straight up just say studying for my real estate exam, or you could say interest in real estate. As long as you don't say real estate broker or real estate agent or realtor or one of those, then move forward. But they just say, well, I'm not a licensed yet. I'm not going to bother with it. Why not? I mean, it's like one part of what you study you could apply. For example, when we just talked about fixtures before, fixtures are on your exam. You could do an Instagram post about fixtures, and make it fun and witty and talk about a refrigerator or an oven or a fence in the backyard. Like if you're smart, you could mingle it. People get in this business to be creative and kind of develop their own marketing and be on their own. So do it,
That's a great point. Just act. Act. That's what it's about. Yeah, you may fail. You may win. You don't know.
Well, that's the beauty
until you do it.
Of failing and winning in this business and in this day and age, I should say. For example, we're on YouTube right now. If this doesn't work, you could delete it or take it down. Same thing with an Instagram post, same thing with a Facebook post, any of that stuff. So you could put up this YouTube video, and in 2 months, you see it's doing great, wonderful. If it's not doing great, or it's giving you negative feedback or giving you negative reviews and making you look bad, you could take down. You couldn't do that in the past when you had printed books. Once it was out in the universe, there it was. If you printed a flyer and it said something offensive or stupid or a bench park ad, and you looked horrific. Once it's out there, that's it. So you couldn't really try anything risky, because if it's on that, billboard and it's risky and it doesn't work out, you look bad. But this, if it's risky, you could take it down. Now, obviously risky within reason, because technically things will be out on the internet forever.
Right.
If we're getting really technical. So I'm talking within reason risky,
Yeah. In your immediate, for this example, as you're mentioning, in my immediate sphere of influence and your immediate sphere of influence, then yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
When I talk about 100%. Risky, I don't mean like scandalous, photos or things like that. I mean, don't be afraid to put out a video that maybe is not up to par, or a picture that's not that great. Like, take that risk of putting yourself out there, even if you think it doesn't look totally on point.
100%. And I think that's why a lot of the live features on Facebook, Instagram, now LinkedIn, those are getting rewarded drastically from the audience, not just from the algorithm, but from the audience as well, because they expect you to not get it right the first time you're live. I mean,
well, you're also authentic.
Exactly.
And also many of those things are only on for a day.
This is true.
And you learn, like some people do so much where, they're a little annoying. And hopefully they learn from that and they start, okay, I'm a little annoying now. I got to tone it back a little bit, or enough of me sticking the camera in front of my face while driving and me talking in front of the camera, like that was cute once. Now it's just annoying. But you learn. Yeah. And if you're open to the criticism, and people will tell you, all these things come fully equipped with analytics. From this video we're doing now to an Instagram profile to a Facebook profile, there are stats that'll tell you what's working, what's not.
Yeah.
And you can look in great detail them, or just look at very simply, like how many likes it got.
I mean, the metrics won't lie. They won't lie at that point.
And if something works, something gets a lot of likes, okay, I'm going to do something like that again,
Speaking of learning, because we've been focused on the aspiring agent. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the people that are already agents. From an education standpoint, what's your piece of advice for those agents that are already agents? What piece of advice can you give them to stay connected into continue to learn about your craft? What's some words of wisdom that you can share with the agents out there?
Obviously, I'm biased. We talked about it before, but they should stay in those Facebook groups or any online community they can and make a regular practice of participating in them, because it keeps their knowledge up, keeps them informed, and gives them access to better products that could help forward their business, even including online education products to get their license done and certificates done. They hear different things. It keeps you accountable. So people generally like to stop doing one thing and start another, and that's just not the way this business works, or many businesses work. You got to make a schedule and make a point to do many things on a regular basis. And one thing they should be doing on a regular basis is participating in some online group. I mean, if they don't do that, then they're falling short. I mean, you got to be hitting on all cylinders. And if you plan it correctly, like every Monday, I'm going to log in there and make a comment. And you start seeing it. Because there's not going to be an immediate benefit. They have these groups on LinkedIn. They have these groups on Facebook. They have these groups all over the place. So you got to find the one that works for you and stay connected. You can't stay in like this echo chamber in your own little town of people you talk to. Or not even in town. Many people only talk to people in their office.
Yeah, this is true. And there's a lot of merit to what you're saying. Personally, I've benefited greatly from the groups. Mostly on Facebook. I have done some LinkedIn groups, but mostly on Facebook where, hey, here's the situation. And boom, put it in this group, 10,000 people, 15,000 people, 50,000 people, and just continue to put it in groups, and then collectively take what seems to be reasonable, and then act upon, rather than, just staying in my own head and then trying to figure it out on my own. So there's a ton of merit to what you're saying.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I want everybody to realize is you can't just think about the deal in front of you. Like, you got to constantly want to help. I did that phrase I said wrong before that Warren Buffett, I believe, said, but it's true, especially in real estate. You constantly have to have interest in helping people. And obviously, you've got to be careful with your time. When I say helping people, give a little advice here, give a comment here, give somebody a little advice about who's trying to pass their real estate exam. Because not only is it good karma, but the more you do it, you're essentially promoting yourself. You're putting yourself out there more and more and more. If you constantly look for ways to help people within real estate in one form or another, any way you can, it's going to come back to you. Before you know it, you're in 50 different groups, 50 different posts on 50 different platforms, and it has to be a genuine interest to help people. If it's just, look to me to get a mortgage, most groups like mine and many others will mark you as spam and ban you forever.
Yeah.
But if you're genuinely interested, because what happens is if you make a comment and somebody complains about you, I could look up you and your profile in my group. And if I see that's the only comment this guy's made, well, screw him, he's out. But if I see he's made like 50 helpful comments and helped a lot of people, I'll say, you know what? He may have been a little off with this one, but he's been helping people all the time. I know where his heart is, so leave him alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think people realize the dynamics of these groups and the online presence.
No, that's certainly true. They can be a force multiplier, and they can also be your own undoing.
Right. We're talking about online stuff because that's what I'm familiar with. Yeah. But this applies in person as well. So take this concept of groups and apply it to a networking function at your local chamber of commerce, or maybe a meeting at your local, church or temple or mosque or wherever you go religiously, So, or your local kids' soccer games or football games. So it doesn't have to be online. I'm speaking online because that's where my wheelhouse is. But this idea of putting it out there and helping people whenever you can, then you add it with a business card.
That's universal.
Right, and that's the beauty of helping people online, because you don't have to hand a business card because your profile is already there. So they click on you, and it goes back to your business profile. So there's kind of an automatic business card there. Because when you comment, it shows your face, and it links to everything you do.
You can do it on scale as well. I mean, guarded, right? I mean, you do want to guard your time, as you mentioned, but you can do it on scale. There's less, I don't want to say weirdness, but there's not as much courage that you need to just type something up versus walking across the walking across the room at a networking event. Hey, my name is Jaime. Nice to meet you. So
exactly,
that's a great point.
And as you said, you got to make time for it. You got to, maybe it's 30 minutes on Monday, and obviously you got to limit your time for it. So, but if you dedicate like 30 minutes 3 times a week in the morning, you'll have time to make comments and respond to some. And if you don't get to in that time period, it'll just wait till next time.
Yeah.
But you got to schedule your day, so that's that.
From a real estate commission standpoint, switching gears a little bit, we've touched on aspiring agents, and now from a kind of like a system, putting things in context or as best as we can. From a real estate commission standpoint, you see the education requirements, you see what the commissions out there across various states are asking agents to get educated on. From that standpoint, what would you say could be improved upon? What would you like to see the real estate commissions get more strict with, or more lenient with, or ask more credits from this type of topic? What would you like to see from that standpoint?
Obviously, for me, I would just love it to be a smoother, streamlined process, because they're going to ask what they ask. And, they have people who know more about this than I do design these questions. So I'm not necessarily going to question them. I just wish, if they want you to pass this test, make it easier to sign up for the test, sit for the test, do it. If they want you to get a certificate, make it easier to get the certificate, and do the requirements they ask and expedite the process so it's more fluid for everybody. If somebody wants to offer real estate education or classes, what do you need for them, and how do we make this go as quickly as possible? And if they don't fill the requirements, fine, reject them. If they do, accept them. but kind of just streamline the process for everybody a little bit more. Because a lot of people complain about these continuing education requirements and whatnot, but like I said before, it's not as much about the knowledge as much as a barrier of entry to make sure people who are serious about the business are in it, and the people who don't care that much to do it, well, maybe they shouldn't be in the business anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, people say that maybe the courses should be more applicable to what they actually do, but it's never going to be exactly applicable to what you're going to do. So it's like, get over it, you know? It's what goes back to my thing about people just got to do what they need to do. And that's what I was saying. I want the commission to make it easier for them to do what they need to do. You know, if that's what you want them to do, fine. Then make it as simple and as streamlined as possible.
I like it.
Anyway.
Well, Joe, this is you're not going to get away with not answering my my favorite question. So with you, it's a little bit different because from different other interviews, but I'm still going to ask it. So I'll rephrase it a little bit. My favorite question in Echo interviews is, if you had to start all over again today in the business that you're in, knowing what you know, what do your next 7 days look like? So again, I'll repeat that. In the business that you're in, if you had to start all over again today, what do your next 7 days look like?
My next 7 days, if I'm starting over from scratch, would be researching social media profiles and starting to set up the ones that apply to me the most and try and design ones that look the best. And then probably shorter than 7 days, I'm ready to hit the ground running. And I'm going to start posting and doing things. So I'm posting and researching what works the best. Because remember, if I'm starting over again, I don't have my license yet, so I'm not with a broker or anything like that. So that's what I would do. And you got to put yourself out there.
So just start.
Yeah.
Research and then fire. You may be right, wrong, or indifferent, but at least you went out there.
Exactly. Yes. So that's that.
Joe, where can the people connect with you?
Just go to my YouTube channel, which I'm hoping you're going to put in the link below.
Absolutely.
Right? And if not, just look up PrepAgent. If you guys just Google real estate exam, chances are you'll see me. I come up pretty high on the Google search engines at this point. So if you just Google PrepAgent and you look for the guy with the hat and the glasses too, depending on how I feel with my look that day, you will find me pretty easily. So just follow us on YouTube, and that'd be great. And Instagram as well, same thing. Just look up PrepAgent, and you can find us in all those places. My glasses straight.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Joe, well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on Echo Interviews. And everyone else, I'll see you on the next one.
Okay, bye.